Welcome to Cozy's Corner, our corner of the internet where no discussion is off limits. Here, we deep dive into interesting topics that the community suggests. Together, we learn about strange, mysterious, or conspiratorial topics. So grab your coffee, get nice and cozy, and let's dive in. Today, we discuss the awful case of a mother murdering her two young children. We'll look at the history of this case, and as it's still currently playing out, the strange events that have happened so far. Oh, and we'll also look at her doomsday prophecy that is set for this month. Before moving forward, I wanted to remind everyone that if you enjoy this deep dive, please remember to like the video. It helps a lot with YouTube's algorithm. Comment what you liked about it, and if you loved it, please consider subscribing. Lastly, remember to join the Discord channel linked below. Back to the story. Lori Vallow Daybell. Born June 26, 1973. Not much is really known about her childhood, but where we do start our journey is at 19 years old, and we start it with her first husband of many. Name unknown, but he was her high school sweetheart. Married in 92 and divorced soon after. Not long after, her second husband comes into the picture, Will LaGoya. The two got married in Travis County, Texas in 96. The two had their son Colby. Wasting no time after this, December 17th, 96, LaGoya filed for divorce, with it being finalized February 25th, 1998. While Lori, wasting no time, married her third husband, Joseph Anthony Ryan Jr. You know what they say, third time's the charm, right? Do you guys think that these two will go the distance? Let's find out. Lori and Joseph would have their daughter Tylee on September 24th, 2002. Joseph would also adopt Colby around this time as well. You know, I'll let you guess what happened next. Well, if you guessed that Joseph filed for divorce on August 13th, 2004, you'd be correct. It was finalized May 18th, 2005. Joseph would later, in 2007, be attacked by Alex Cox, tasing him and threatening to murder him. And who is Alex Cox? That would be Lori's brother. He would later serve 90 days in jail for this crime. Last, and tragically on Joseph Ryan, he actually died of natural causes in 2018, a heart attack. Apparently Lori hid this information from Tylee. As it comes to Lori though, if 3 is good, 4 is even better, right? February 24th, 2006, Lori married her fourth husband, Charles Vallow. Where at? Well, in Las Vegas, because of course they did. Well, in Lori's case, the fourth time would be the charm, actually. Mostly. Off to a good first 8 years, the couple in 2014 adopted JJ, who was the grandson of Charles' sister, who was named Kay. You have to understand that JJ was special needs, needing special schooling, special attention, and had a service dog. All of this provided by Charles, with Lori having very little involvement. This marriage was also a record for Lori, a marriage that lasted for more than 3 whole years. Anyways, the Vallows did some moving around, 2014 to Hawaii, 2016 to Phoenix, Arizona. Well, in 2015 though, that's when Lori changed. In 2015, Lori was introduced to Chad Daybell's book series, Standing in Holy Places, becoming obsessed with them in fact. The book series was all about the second coming of Christ and the cult surrounding it. Her infatuation was deep, and it would continue and worsen even, with Chad Daybell, the series author, and Lori Vallow first meeting on podcast, Preparing a People's Time to Warrior Up. Chad actually had an extensive history of writing books about the uprising of the new society, with the second coming of Christ being the main focal point. Moving to February of 2019, Charles does 2 things. 1. Charles changes his life insurance beneficiary to his sister, Kay Woodcock. Secondly, following suit of the 3 others before him, Charles decides it's time to file those divorce papers. In his documents, he claimed that Lori had become obsessed with near-death experiences and spiritual visions. He also claimed that Lori threatened to kill him if he got in the way of God's mission. That mission had to do with the cult. That mission was to carry out Christ's second coming in July of 2020. From the documents, he apparently also was saying that if he got in the way, an angel would help Lori dispose of his body. Okay. For some reason though, March 6th of 2019, Charles dismissed the divorce proceedings and decided he wanted to stay with Lori. Soon after, June 2019, we see Lori's indoctrination take another form. We see it take the form of her niece, Melanie Bordeaux. Her husband, Brandon, divorced her, saying that she's in the same cult with Lori. On July 11th, 2019, Alex Cox kills Charles when he shows up to pick up JJ from Lori's house. Alex claimed that this was self-defense and he was never actually charged. The next day, July 12th, Lori told Charles' biological kids about his death, but refused to give any other details about how their father had passed. Soon after his death, Lori found out something that apparently greatly upset her. Charles apparently did not trust Lori at all before his death, telling Kay, his sister, that he worried what Lori would do with the money if it made it into her hands. Lori found this out when she tried to cash in the policy and was denied access. When Lori found this out, she stopped all communications between JJ and his grandparents in August of 2019. By August 30th, Lori had returned JJ's service dog, saying that he was no longer needed. In September of 2019, the widowed Lori and the two children moved to Rexburg, Idaho. They moved to live with the leader of the cult that she had been indoctrinated to, Chad Daybell. From here, things start to move pretty rapidly. September 8th, 2019, and that's the last time that Tylee is seen in public at Yellowstone with Lori and JJ. In regards to Tylee, though, there are two major events that are off. Firstly, on October 10th, over a month after her disappearance, Tylee, or someone using her phone, sent money via Venmo to the account of Colby Ryan, her half-brother. Secondly, on October 25th, Tylee texted a friend from her phone, but this friend sincerely doubts that the text was sent from her. It's likely at this point, sadly, that she had already been long gone. In regards to JJ, September 23rd, he's pulled out of his school. On September 24th, the following day, Lori tells JJ's babysitter that their services are no longer needed because he is now living with the grandparents in Arizona. At this point, nothing much else is known as to what happened to JJ. On October 1st, Lori would rent a storage unit that she visited 9 times during October and November, mostly being accompanied by her brother, Alex Cox. Inside of this storage container ended up being belongings of the two children. Not much is known as to why these belongings were placed there, though. On October 2nd, Brandon Bordeaux, Melanie's ex-husband, is shot at outside his home in Gilbert, Arizona. Strange thing is that the assailant was driving a car of the dead Charles Vallow. It's speculated that this is Alex Cox, although it's unclear why he would have targeted him. On October 19th, 2019, Lori Daybell, who is Chad's wife, dies. This death was originally ruled natural causes, though strangely their family denied an autopsy. Later on, December 11th, the police reopened the investigation into her death and labeled it as potentially suspicious. To my knowledge, the cause of death was never revealed publicly. The only thing that we do know in relation to her death is that she was shot at 10 days before she had died by a paintball gun. I'm not saying that definitely it was Alex Cox, but I mean, he does have a history of trying to shoot people, so it's likely. On November 5th of 2019, Lori Vallow married Chad Daybell, her 5th husband and last, so far. On November 26th, 2019, local police in the Rexburg area performed a wellness check on JJ as the grandparents had not heard from him in months. Lori lies to the police, saying that he was visiting family in Arizona. The following day, with the police knowing that that was a flat-out lie, they go to claim the couple to find that the two had already fled. The two were missing for months, all the way until February of 2020. Now, we go to the hunt to find JJ and Tylee, which is in full swing. On December 20th, the Rexburg police announced a search for JJ and Tylee. They announced that Tammy's death may have to do with the disappearance. And lastly, they announced that not only were Lori and Chad not cooperating, but they were in fact both persons of interest in the case. Later on in the month of December, they would announce that they believed that JJ and Tylee were both in danger and not with Lori and Chad. Moving on to the new year, January 3rd, 2020, a search warrant is executed at Chad's house. They take computers, cell phones, journals, documents, medication. It's believed that because of this, they find the Daybells. January 25th, 2020. The couple is tracked to Hawaii and are told that they need to physically produce the children to the Rexburg Police Department. That's something that they failed to do in time. By February 20th, Lori was arrested and charged with desertion and non-supportive dependence, later on adding resisting an officer and obstructing officers. During this, talks are made to extradite Lori to Idaho, and by March 5th, much to her protest, she was. The following day, Lori appears in front of her first judge in the case, Judge Edens, who eventually recuses himself later on in the upcoming weeks on request of Lori and her lawyers, with Michelle Mallard replacing him. Later on April 9th of 2020, in regards to the case of Tammy, Lori and Chad are now being investigated for conspiracy in either attempted murder or murder. Now that leaves us to essentially where we are today. June 9th is when Chad was arrested for destruction of evidence in regards to 2 sets of human remains that were found on his property. Remains that were sadly confirmed to be JJ and Tylee's. Keep in mind that these two supposedly say that we're going to die from a doomsday prediction on July 22nd. When that inevitably doesn't happen, where will that leave us? Well, Chad's hearing is set to August 3rd and 4th, and Lori's being the 10th and 11th. Here's hoping that we get justice for these 2 young lives that were snuffed out way too soon. Once we see some more updates, I'll potentially create a follow-up video on this case and how it ends, hopefully with both of them behind bars. That wraps up this deep dive into the tragic case of a narcissistic, murderous mother. Here's hoping that this case is resolved soon and that there is justice served. In the interest of time, I wanted to leave this as a high-level overview of the case. I know there's a huge amount of information that I missed, like Lori allegedly believing that Tylee had lost her soul and become a zombie. Please mention anything that I missed or that you may have concerns about in the comments below, and maybe it'll make it up into the follow-up. Remember that if you enjoyed this video, to give it a like. If you want to see more content like this, consider subscribing. And lastly, don't forget to join the conversation on the Discord channel linked below. Thanks for coming to Cozy's Corner, and good night, friends.